Hello, I'm Will. This is Mike. We're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
Welcome to Warhammer 40k Conquest, where we look at the magazine and play the games. If you want to skip ahead, there's a timestamp in the description below if you want to get straight to the battle. This issue comes with 3 characters for the Death Guard. Well, 2 characters and a Plague Champion, but yeah. We've got the Noxious Blightbringer, the Malignant Plaguecaster, and Plague Champion with a Power Fist and a Sword. But, this is some interest for the Death Guard forces at last. Well, in the last 14 issues, I think we got a Rhino was the only new thing, so this is suddenly 3 new things, which is quite exciting. Having a look inside, Malignant Plaguecasters. They are sorcerers, effectively. So the Death Guard now have a psyker, and they cast plague-related powers, as you might expect. Noxious Blightbringers are basically a guy with a gigantic bell, which makes everyone despair when it rings, apparently, unless they're the Death Guard, in which case it makes them run faster. Then we've got, here we are, yes, a sprue of Death Guard villains. Well, there's a couple of pieces on here that are actually going to be used later on different models, so they actually tell you to keep them, but otherwise, this is a sprue from the Dark Imperium box set, and the other starter set that I forget the name of at the top of my head. This is the Plague Champion, has a Power Fist and a Plague Sword this time. He doesn't have a plasma gun like Champion Repugnus that we've been used to. The Plaguecaster, who's casting a sort of big blob of plaguey stuff, and the Blightbringer, who has a gigantic bell, as I said. And painting them is basically the same as for all the Death Guard. Same sort of instructions, green, gold, and then with bone and red and grey bits as well. Quite extensive painting instructions now, because quite a lot of paints to use. Then, with 2 psykers on the battlefield, 1 per side, obviously our game is going to feature psychic powers, so we're going to get onto that straight away.
So before we get into our mission for this issue, we need to learn about Deny the Witch, since we actually have a psyker on each side of the battlefield. So essentially, Denying the Witch is if an enemy psyker successfully manifests a psychic power within 24 inches of one of your psykers, you can attempt to deny the witch, and to do that, you simply roll a psychic test, and then if you roll higher than the roll that successfully manifested the power, you deny the witch. So you see in this example, the Librarian has manifested Smite with a warp charge value of 6, and here the Malignant Plaguecaster has denied the witch by rolling an 8 to deny it. And of course in the unit stats lines it says how often a psyker can attempt to deny the witch each turn. One also thing to note here, it says here psykers can cast the same power multiple times. That's not true. In any rule set you're only allowed to try each psychic power once. It depends exactly on, with match play and narrative play, how many times you can use the same psychic power in the same psychic phase, but over the page you just got here what to do if there are multiple psykers who can attempt to deny the witch. Basically you just have to pick one, and if they fail, you can't pick the other one. And then we can finally head into the mission this week. Psychic Clash. So, while fighting in Barachias, the Librarian and a number of Space Marine troops have come across a Malignant Plaguecaster and have set out to kill him. So you can see on the battlefield we've got our 2 deployment zones, the Death Guard in the Eagle Ruins and the Space Marines in the Crater Ruins. The player who won the previous mission deploys their entire force first, so I won the last mission, so I'll deploy first. Then the player who lost the previous mission takes first turn, so the Death Guard in this case. And our victory conditions, we each gain a victory point for each enemy unit eliminated, and then we also get a victory point for each psychic power they cast or deny. And it says if a power is both cast and denied, both players earn a point. So even if you successfully cast a power and it gets denied, you still get a point out of that. And we've got our new data sheets for our 2 new characters. We've got the Noxious Blightbringer first. You can see he's got a plasma pistol, he's got a cursed plague bell, and he's got the standard disgustingly resilient Death of the False Emperor, and his gimmick, the Toxin of Misery. So enemy units must subtract 1 from their leadership if they're within 7 inches of him. And if it's a psyker, they have to subtract 2, but I don't think that's going to be too relevant. Probably more relevant is that if a Death Guard unit is within 7 inches of him and it advances, that unit can roll 2 dice and pick the highest when determining the advance distance. And most importantly, the Malignant Plaguecaster. So he's not quite as good in melee as the Librarian. His Corrupted Staff is only AP -1, gives him +2 strength though, and D3 damage. And you've got his psychic power, so he knows Smite like the Librarian. First off, he has Miasma of Pestilence. So if he it's a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, you can select a friendly Death Guard unit within 18 inches. And until the start of the Death Guard's next psychic phase, the opposing player has -1 to hit the chosen unit. And Putrescent Vitality is quite similar to Might of Heroes that the Librarian gets. It's walk towards value of 6. If manifested, select a friendly Death Guard infantry unit within 18 inches of the psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, add 1 to that unit's strength and toughness. So that applies to every model in the unit, as opposed to Might of Heroes, which only applies to a single unit. And then he also has this, Pestilential Fallout. So if he rolls a 7 or more on his psychic test, the nearest enemy unit within 7 inches suffers a mortal wound after the effects of the psychic power have been resolved. You can attempt to do 2 psychic powers each psychic phase, and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in the enemy psychic phase. And here we are on our campaign map. So I won the previous mission, so I get to choose when the next one will take place. And I'll pick this one down here, because it's slightly further away, but that's contested territory. So we'll have the once per game you can ignore cover for shooting at a unit. And with that done, we'll go into the army overviews and then into deployment. So here's our Space Marine force. We have the Librarian, 2 Hellblasters once again, even though we have 3 models, 5 Intercessors and 3 Aggressors. So here's our Death Guard force for this mission. We have the Malignant Plaguecaster, the Noxious Blightbringer, 5 Plague Marines led by the new Plague Champion, and 12 Poxwalkers. So here we are, I've finished my deployment. Now I have to play the Smite Shield game as well. Unfortunately the Space Marines aren't really cut out for doing that, so I've got the Intercessors in front, the Aggressors just slightly off to the left flank, and the Hellblasters and Librarian behind them.
And then for my deployment, getting to deploy first, I've got the Poxwalkers here and the Noxious Blightbringer. I'm going to try and remember his name, but I'm probably just going to call him Bellman most of the time. The Plague Marines out here at the front, and then the new Malignant Plaguecaster in the middle.
So deployment over, the Death Guard get to go first because they lost the previous mission. We'll head into Death Guard turn 1.
Well, the first thing that's going to happen is these Poxwalkers are going to advance. Now I can use the Noxious Blightbringer special rule and roll 2 dice for my advance and pick the highest. So, 6.
Yay.
So that gets them over there. And then the Blightbringer himself is also going to advance. He benefits from his own rule. He only rolls a 2, but only gets him to there. Well, that'll do. He's not going to get smited there. And then the rest of my movement, just like this. Plague Marines are spread out a bit so they can all see an aggressor, apart from the champion, because he only has a bolt pistol, this one. So, and then the Plaguecasters just moved a little bit to get within range for smite. So movement done, on to my very first ever psychic phase. We'll start with the Plaguecaster. He will cast smite. So needing 5, that's an 8.
So with an 8, I will attempt to deny the witch, because I don't want to take mortal wounds.
Yep, you're within 24, so you can.
So I need to roll a 9 or more. And the Librarian gets +1 to this roll, but only if I'm within 12 inches of the psyker that I'm trying to deny. Well, I got a 7, so I do not deny that smite.
So you will take D3 wounds on the Intercessors, D3 mortal wounds, 2.
Yep, so an Intercessor will die. You successfully manifested a psychic power, but an enemy unit was not within 7 inches, so I don't take another mortal wound. And you also gain a victory point for successfully manifesting a psychic power. So is he going to do anything else?
Yep, he's going to cast Miasma of Pestilence on these Plague Marines, so you'll be -1 to hit them. If it succeeds, it needs a 6, and I got it with a 7. And again, he's not within range, but that would cause mortal wounds if there were enemy units closer.
That's another victory point for the Death Guard for a successful psychic test.
Yep, and so I'm just going to put that there, so that we remember that they are Miasma of Pestilence.
The data card didn't come with the magazine, but we had some lying around.
Well, the only unit that can shoot is the Plague Marines, because the other 2 characters have pistols, and we're going to shoot the Aggressors. And I think I will use my Ignoring Cover once per game ability for contested territory. So doing the 2 Blight Launchers first, they hit on 3s, rerolling 1s, because I'm near the ammo box, so it's 3 hits, wounding on 3s. Not rerolling 1s, so 2 wounds and you don't get cover. So
2 5+ armor saves, made 1.
D3 damage, just 1.
Okay, Aggressor takes a wound, this guy over here.
And then we've got 2 shots with bolt guns at this range. 1 hit, wounding on a 5, no it didn't.
Yep, no charges because everyone's too far away or advanced. On to Space Marines turn 1. So in my movement phase we're going to take the fight to the Plague Marines. The Intercessors have moved up a bit to form a line. The Hellblasters and the Librarian have tucked in behind. And the Aggressors are going to advance. And they got a 3. So there the Aggressors have just moved up a little bit to be in line with the Intercessors. It's about as far as they could move. On to the Psychic phase. So in my Psychic phase, the Librarian is going to try and manifest Smite. Needs a 5. Gets it with a 9. Are you going to try and deny the witch?
Yes, I will, because I'm not too bothered about you casting your other powers, so I need a 10 or more to deny this. No, I got a 9 as well.
So a tie means I successfully manifest the power. So I'll do D3 mortal wounds to the Plague Marines. 2.
I get disgustingly resilient against it. Oh,
There we go.
oh well.
Well, I do get a victory point for successfully manifesting Smite.
Yep.
And then the Librarian will try to manifest Veil of Time on the aggressors. He needs a 6. Does not get it with a 4. So, Psychic phase over, onto the shooting phase. The Intercessors are going to fire at the Poxwalkers. So these 3 are in rapid fire range and the guy at the end isn't. So we've got 7 shots. 7 shots hitting on 3s. 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
Disgustingly resilient from this. No.
And that's enough to get rid of your +1 to hit.
Yep.
Then the Hellblasters will rapid fire into the Plague Marines. I'm not going to overcharge because they have -1 to hit, which I'll be blowing up on a 2. So we got 4 shots hitting on 4s.
Oh, made a difference.
Made a difference. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
I get a 6+ save for being in cover, which I haven't made either of. So then I got 2 disgustingly resilient, which I've made 1 of.
So Plague Marine goes down.
Yeah, we'll take that one at the end.
And no one else is in range to shoot, so it's on to Death Guard 2 and 2.
Well, my movement, the Plague Marines have all moved out of cover. Everyone's moved normally. The psyker the Malignant Plaguecaster has moved behind them. Noxious Blightbringer has moved, so he's just about within 2 inches of that ammo box. And the Poxwalkers are over there. On to my psychic phase.
Yeah, so the Miasma of Pestilence, whatever it is.
Yep, that goes off.
That.
We'll try and do Smite first.
Okay, so that will hit the Intercessors because they're the closest.
Yep.
Needs a 5.
Got it with a 6.
I will attempt to deny that because I really don't want to take mortal wounds, so I need to roll. A 6 because I think I'm within 12 inches of you now.
Oh yes, you are. Yes, you're quite right.
So I am within 12 inches, so I need to roll a 6 or more because I get +1 to this. I did not deny that with a 4. So another victory point for the Death Guard and your D3 mortal wounds.
1.
So an Intercessor will take a wound.
And then we're going to cast Miasma of Pestilence on the Plague Marines again. So I need a 6 for this. Got it with 7, and that means that you take a mortal wound.
So the Intercessors are the closest unit, so they take a mortal wound. So an Intercessor dies.
Yeah, because they're just about within 7 inches.
And you get another victory point for a successful psychic power.
Then in shooting phase, the Plague Marines are going to shoot everything at the aggressors with the exception of the bolt gun man who will throw a crack grenade at the Intercessors.
Yep.
So we'll do that crack grenade first. It hits on the 3 rolling ones. That's a hit. It wounds on a 3. Yep.
4+ armor save. Made it.
And then the Blight launchers at the aggressors. 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
2 5+ armor saves. Didn't make either, so one man will die immediately.
Yep, and the second hit does D3 damage, 3.
So other regular aggressor will die.
And technically, I forgot. He only has a bolt pistol,
Yes.
so I should have thrown the grenade with him and shot the bolt gun, but I didn't do that. So we're gonna have a bolt pistol at the aggressor sergeant.
Okay.
He missed. Then we've also got the Noxious Blightbringer who has a plasma pistol, which is a bit like a plasma gun, but it's a pistol.
Yep.
And he's going to shoot that at the Hellblasters because he is in range of them.
Yep.
And he's going to supercharge it. So he hits on 3 rerolling ones. That's a 2, so he missed.
So he didn't blow up.
No. And finally, the Malignant Plaguecaster has a bolt pistol. He'll shoot that at the.
He has grenades as well.
I don't think he's in range. He'll fire his bolt pistol at the Intercessors, I suppose.
Okay.
So 1 shot hitting on 3. It did. Wins on a 4. No.
Then on to the charge phase.
Yeah. We'll do the Plague Marines at the Intercessors first.
Okay, well, we are within grenade range, so one of them will throw a crack grenade and the other 2 will fire their bolt rifles. So crack grenade hitting on a 6. Nope. Bolt rifles. Ooh, 1 hit. So you got 1 hit, wounding on 5. Didn't wound.
Then their charge roll will probably need about a 4. A 7 is enough.
Yep.
The Malignant Plaguecaster might as well have a go as well at the Intercessors.
Alright then.
He got a 6.
He wasn't in grenade range, so it might be.
No, but it is enough because he's within 7.
Yeah.
So that gets him to there.
Yep.
Just about within an inch. And finally, the Poxwalkers will charge the Intercessors.
Yep.
Ooh.
Well, 10's definitely going to be enough.
Yep. They've completed their charge like so. Then the Librarian isn't in range to heroically intervene.
Nope.
So we will move on to fighting, and we'll start with the Plague Marines, I suppose. They will pile in. There we go, like that, and then we'll strike. And this champion has 2 melee weapons. He has a Power Fist and a Plague Sword, which rerolls all wounds, but otherwise is unremarkable. So we're not going to use that, we're going to use the Power Fist. It gets 1 hit because it hits on 4s. That doesn't trigger Death of the False Emperor because -1 to hit. Wounds on a 2. It does.
6+ armor save. Nope.
D3 damage, 2.
So an intercessor goes down. Check the one who's surrounded by poxwalkers.
Then 3 guys with knives hitting on 3s. Oh well.
Oh.
Okay, they all missed. They'll consolidate slightly just because I want to make sure that librarian can't possibly sneak up on my psyker. We'll do the psyker next. He will pile in a bit. He has 3 attacks, they hit on 3s. He has a force staff. We've got 2 hits. Wounding on 3s because it's +2 strength, so 6. 2 wounds, and these are -1 AP.
Yeah, so 4 plus armor saves, but D3 damage. Fail both.
So first one does 3 damage, and the second one does 1 damage.
Yep, so Sarge is left on 1 wound.
We won't consolidate him. And finally the Poxwalkers. Well, they're not going to be able to get within range of an Intercessor, but they can still be selected because they charge, so they're just going to pile into these Hellblasters. They can't strike the Hellblasters because they didn't declare them as a charge target.
Yep.
So, but that's it for my charges. So
I'll do the Hellblasters fighting back. They got 5 attacks hitting on 3s. Well, they all hit because Hellblasters are the best melee unit. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds.
Disgustingly resilient on this. Made 2. So you take out 2 Poxwalkers.
Intercessor Sergeant gets to fight back against the Plague Marines. 3 attacks hitting on 4s. Well, they all hit. Wounding on 5s. 1 wound.
Just armor save, made.
So that's the end of Death God turn 2, on to Space Marines turn 2. So in my movement, the 2 Hellblasters are just fallen back out of melee with the Poxwalkers. The Librarian's going to stay where he is. The Intercessor Sergeant is disengaged from the Plague Marines, and the Aggressor Sergeant is going to stay where he is, so he can shoot twice. So onto the Psychic phase, the Librarian is going to try and manifest Smite. He needs a 5, gets it with a 7. Assume you're going to try and deny that.
I will try and deny this, yeah. I need an 8. Oh, I got an 11.
So I get a victory point for successfully manifesting Smite, but then you get a victory point for denying it. And then the Librarian will try and do Might of Heroes on himself. Yeah. Gets it with a 6.
Okay.
Victory point. So 5 to 3 so far. And then on to the shooting phase. So I'll start with the Aggressor Sergeant. So the Aggressor Sergeant, it says he can shoot twice. The way we interpret that is that he can fire once and then fire again. So if he kills all the Poxwalkers, he can fire at a separate target. If that's not the case, leave a comment and we'll notice correct that in the future. So he's going to fire his first shots at the Poxwalkers. So 2d6 automatic hits. And he got 7, so there's 8 there, so I'll have to shoot them again. 7 hits, wounding on 3s. There's 5 wounds.
Disgustingly resilient. Made 2.
And then he'll shoot again at the Poxwalkers. 2d6 automatic hits, 9 hits that time. 9 hits, wounding on 3s. 6 wounds.
You got them.
Yeah, so it's wiped out the Poxwalkers.
And that gives you a victory point.
Yes, and I gain a victory point for destroying an enemy unit, so 5 to 4 at the moment. Next, the Hellblasters will fire at the Plague Marines. Once again, we're not going to overcharge. And we've already got -1 to hit, so we're already on 5s. Because of the Miasma of Pestilence and the -1 to hit for falling back. So 4 shots hitting on 5s. 1 hit, wounding on a 3. Hit wounded.
No save because I'm in the open.
Yep, so
Yeah, so just 1 damage, which I have not ignored. So this bolt gunner will die.
Intercessor Sergeant will throw a crack grenade at the Plague Marines. It hits on a 5. It did not. Librarian will also throw a crack grenade at the Plague Marines. It hits on a 4. Because he did not fall back. It hit. Wounds on a 3. It did not wound. First things first, the Librarian will declare a charge on the, the Malignant Plaguecaster.
Yeah. So he will overwatch with the crack grenade because his only other option is a bolt pistol. It didn't hit.
Charge distance 4. So the Librarian has finished his charge. He's ended up there. The Aggressor Sergeant will declare a charge against both the Plague Marines and the Malignant Plaguecaster because he's unengaged, so I might be able to get the Aggressor in.
It's true, so I'll overwatch with the blight launchers and a crack grenade. So blight launchers hitting on 6s in the box. No,
well,
there was 6 outside the box.
That was lucky.
But it jumped out, and a crack grenade missed.
And then charge distance 6. The Aggressor is going to charge like this, so he's within an inch of that Plague Marine. So he's successfully charged, and then he can pile in down the barrel after the Librarian moves around the next turn. Yeah. Hopefully, that's the plan.
However, at the end of the charge phase, I heroically intervened over here, getting in base contact with the Librarian, so he can't move any further, and the Aggressor Sergeant now doesn't have enough movement, probably.
You won't be able to get down the barrel.
No, actually, he might if he goes there, but... So if I go there, you don't have enough space down here, and you can't get far enough around that way.
So I'll start with the Librarian. Got Might of Heroes, so he has 5 attacks hitting on 3s. 1 hit. Wounding on 4s. It didn't wound. And then the aggressor sergeant might as well stay where he is, because he is engaged, so...
Yeah.
He has 3 attacks, hitting on 5s because of Miasmal Pestilence. He got 1 hit. Wounds on a 3. It didn't wound. So your picks.
I do get to pick. We will do the Plaguecaster first.
Yep.
He has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s against the Librarian. 3 hits and Death of the False Emperor. Didn't get an extra one. Wounding on 3s, because Strength 6, even with Might of Heroes. That's 2 wounds, and -1.
4 plus armor saves.
Nope.
Didn't make either.
2d3 damage, 4.
So Librarian goes down to 1 wound.
And then the Plague Marines will... Actually, yeah, let's pile into the Librarian. And we'll put the Power Fist on the Librarian and the Knives on the Aggressor Sergeant. So Power Fist hitting on 4s, 1 hit. Wounds on a 2, yep.
6 plus armor save, didn't make it.
No, so he gets killed. And then we've got 2 knives on the Aggressor Sergeant. 1 of which hits, wounding on a 5, in the box. It did.
3 plus armor save, you made it. And you also got a victory point for killing the Librarian. So that's the end of Space Marines turn 2, on to Death Guard turn 3.
Right, so that's my movement. The Plaguecaster is moved over there, making sure the Aggressor is the closest unit still.
Yeah, he's definitely the closest unit.
And the Bellman's moved up to there.
Mm-hmm.
That goes away at the start of my Psychic phase.
Yep.
And then we're going to cast Smite with the Plaguecaster. Gets it with a 10. D3 mortal wounds, 3.
So Sarge takes 3 mortal wounds from Smite, and then the Hellblasters take a mortal wound from the Pestilential Fallout.
And then
you get a victory. You get 2 victory points, 1 for killing a unit, and 1 for successfully manifesting a psychic power.
And he has another power to cast. He will cast. He'll cast Putrescent Vitality on the Plague Marines, I suppose. So he needs a 6. Didn't get it.
Oh,
with a 5.
he didn't get it.
And then in the shooting phase, the Plague Marines can now actually shoot because they're not engaged anymore. So they'll shoot everything at the Hellblasters.
Yep.
2 Blight Launchers. Is a Crack Grenade in range? Blight Launchers with Crack Grenade, so 3 hits with Blight Launchers. 2 wounds. You're in cover.
4 plus armor saves. Made 1. So Hellblast dies.
And the Crack Grenade misses. He will throw a Crack Grenade as well.
Yep.
Hellblaster Sergeant. It missed. And the Bellman will shoot his Plasma Pistol at the Intercessor Sergeant,
okay.
I suppose. Not going to supercharge it. It hit, wins on a 3. No. And then in the charge phase, Plaguecaster will charge the Hellblaster Sergeant.
I don't think the Hellblaster can actually see him, so you can charge
I
him.
threw a grenade at him, so he must be able to.
Alright then. I'll Overwatch. I won't overcharge. Well, I got a hit. Wounds on 3. It didn't wound.
He charges in. Like that. And Plague Marines will charge the Intercessor Sergeant.
Yep, I'll Overwatch with the Crack Grenade. Oh, it hit. D3, wounds on 3, wounded.
Made my save. And then they're in.
Yeah, they're
6. They'll hit first. There's a Power Fist, 2 attacks, 1 hit, wounding on 2. No.
Oh.
And then the Knives get 1 hit, which wounds on 4, because I didn't get Putrescent Vitality, so that didn't wound. And the Plaguecaster on the Sergeant, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Oh dear. 3 hits, wounding on 3s. 2 wounds, 4 plus save.
4 plus armor saves.
No, made both.
Made both, wow. Hellblaster Sergeant will punch the Plaguecaster. He got no hits. And then the Intercessor Sergeant also got no hits, right?
Well, that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
I'm going to concede at that point, because I can't really do anything about... I literally cannot win, because I can only get 3 more possible victory points. And it's already 8 victory points to 4, so that will be a Death Guard victory.
Yeah.
So we'll recap that for you now. So that was the mission for issue 34 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. How did you think that went?
Yeah, I get new units.
Yes, at last, since I think it's about 8 issues since we had a new unit.
And that was a Rhino, which we've only seen twice.
Yeah, and it's not exactly an exciting unit.
No, so this is my first interesting thing since Lord Felthius.
There's a lot to talk about the new units. That's probably what we're mostly going to recap. The actual battle itself, well, I think it was fairly close up until my turn 2 combat, where the Librarian completely whiffed. Yeah, and then everything fell apart.
Yeah, and I don't think the Aggressor Sergeant did any better either.
No.
And then,
oh yes, he hits but failed to wound.
Yeah, it would have been. It's a shame in a kind of way, because it would have been like if he'd done some wounds or even killed the Malignant Plaguecaster, then it could have been a complete different game. So. You're right, that was the turning point. And then it didn't help you didn't make any of your armour saves with him either. So he just got biffed with that sort of wooden stick.
And took 4 wounds.
And then just got zapped.
I think he got power fisted. Yeah, that was it. I should have sent the aggressor sergeant down the barrels. So poor manoeuvring there on my part.
Possibly, but even then it was damage limitation at that point, so... Yeah, that's pretty much what there is to be said about the game. Kind of an interesting idea to have victory points for psychic powers cast, although that can be... I mean, I think you failed a couple of psychic tests.
I think I only failed one and you denied another. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably...
But I think a lot of it, unfortunately with that, is it's just going to come down to who rolls better.
Yeah.
There's not really any strategy involved other than choosing to use a psychic power or not.
Yes, and choosing to use your one deny, because these psychers can only deny once.
And actually I will say that Smite is a lot of bigger problem for the Space Marines than it is the Death Guard, especially when you have Poxwalkers.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I suppose the Intercessors are like the Poxwalkers and that they're the expendable unit, but with the Space Marines you have such a low model count that you still feel it a lot more.
Yeah. And not only that, but my psyker has a special rule that does mortal wounds out if you roll 7s. It has to be within 7 inches, but once you get nice and close...
It's still a fairly small board, so yeah, once you get nice and close, he's doing mortal wounds all over the place, and the Space Marines have nowhere to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or not yet, anyway. They do have a psychic power that's useful, but we won't see that until another couple of issues. The Malignant Plaguecaster, very good unit. Definitely one of your best units.
Yeah, I mean, having a psyker in general is very good, but it's really his psychic powers that make him worthwhile. Yeah. -1 to hit on a unit. It made a difference in this game. You didn't have tons of firepower, so it wasn't like...
I think it made the aggressor miss at least once more, and yeah, just the extra 1 to hit means you can't overcharge that unit, because you blow up on 2s.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and it is generally, and it applies to a whole unit as well. So,
it's a really good power.
Yeah. And then the other one is pretty much as good, I would guess, like +1 strength and toughness when it applies to a whole unit.
Yeah, I mean, you put it on something like the Poxwalkers, and they're all strength 4, toughness 4.
Yeah, we didn't get to see that actually in this mission. Oh, and actually, my psycho was all right in melee as well.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean,
no, he only has 3 attacks, and he can't do the librarian's thing.
In theory, he's worse than the librarian, but apparently not in this case.
So yeah, definitely very pleased to have a psyker who can do things and buff my units, and soon enough we'll get the full psychic disciplines for both sides, and then there are a range more Death Guard powers that are quite good. Whereas the Space Marine powers, the 2 you have are basically the best. Yeah,
we'll discuss that coming up. The Death Guard psychic powers are probably generally much better than the Space Marine ones.
Yeah. But my other character, the Noxious Blightbringer, I've said before, he is the most useless character in the Death Guard list. Okay, he can make people advance more reliably, and he did do that at the beginning of the game, and it didn't make any difference in the outcome at all, I don't think.
I mean, if you just moved the Poxwalkers normally, they'd probably be about as far away as they would have been anyway.
Well, yeah, quite. And he has a plasma pistol and a bell with some spikes on it, which... Well, a plasma pistol, I mean, it's not awful, but... Obviously, in these games, I don't pay the points for the units I'm using, so it's not like I'm constructing an army. But he's something like 50 points for some wounds and some attacks that probably are not going to ever really come into play.
And his -1 leadership it's not going to affect...
It's very unlikely to come into play.
Actually, another thing, which I'll mention now, is that the Codex Discipline rule that they give you in the data sheets. So it does give you you can fall back and still shoot, but at -1. But it also gives you +1 leadership, which the magazine doesn't tell you about, but it does take into account in the data sheets.
Yes, that's a good point. If you've actually been wondering why all of our Primaris Space Marines are leadership 8 and 9 on sergeants, that's why, because they're Ultramarines.
Yeah, they're technically Ultramarines or Ultramarines.
But the data sheet just says that without telling you why.
But you basically just cancel out the +1 leadership, and then Intercessors are still leadership 8. So you need to do 3 casualties to force a leadership roll.
Yeah, his use is not really that important or useful, actually, for the Death Guard, like being able to advance further for an army that's not really that big on speed. Oh, and then, of course, my new champion as well.
Yeah, the one from Dark Imperium.
I was kind of actually hobbling myself slightly because it doesn't say in the magazine that you have to use this one, so I could have picked the one with the plasma gun, and I chose not to. It did obviously reduce my firepower. With this champion, I'm very unlikely to ever use that sword. Against Space Marines, it's just not going to cut it. Or at least not given that he also has
you might as well use the weapon that is better at wounding and does multiple damage.
Yeah. Generally, I will try and use the champions with plasma guns rather than him.
But I would as well.
Yeah, so you're probably not going to see him that often anymore.
So I don't think there's too much more to say about this battle report and this issue. If you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe and share it with all your friends. If you've been playing these missions as well, tell us how you got on in the comments. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.